Now, this is the age-old question of whether you should cold call or cold email when you're starting a recruitment agency or any agency-based business for that matter. So I'll go ahead and give you my take on why cold emailing always wins for me and always has done. So I'll take you back. I've mentioned it in a few videos before. When I was a high-performing recruiter working for someone else, yeah, I would be the best cold caller. I would bring in the most revenue. I would bring in the most business. I was always the top biller. Now, the reason I had the most accounts because I brought the most clients on, mathematically speaking. The more clients you have, the more money you're going to make or more jobs. So I sat there and I would cold call at least 60 to about 100 and plus cold calls per day, non-stop on the phone. It would take on to the point I worked out it takes 16 seconds for most people on average to ring. So I do the maths, how many calls I can make an hour. I was that much into it when I was cold calling. So average call would be about 2-3 minutes, I believe, unless it went good. Then obviously you'd have a longer conversation. So the points you need to address in this is, I sat there, and this is the penny dropped moment, or the way the penny dropped, and I came back and I said I was cold calling, and everyone, no, they're not in the office. Can you send an email? So I'd send an email. Nobody would ever respond calling me back, but people would always email back. So I said to my boss, why don't we just cut out the cold calling? I can just sit here and email and I get a better response rate. Yeah, it's clear people prefer emails. Yeah, the market's telling me that. It's not me, it's not my personal opinion. The data is showing if we send 100 emails and 100 cold calls, we get a better client acquisition rate. He said, no, we need to cold call. So the reason I think a lot of these businesses want you to cold call is to get your name, their brand out there for the long term, business. I don't necessarily think it's more marketing rather than, how can I put it? You're looking after your best interest. That's genuinely what I think. So going back to what I done, I started sending emails in the evening. I was doing my regular cold calling like my boss wanted. And it's important to listen to people that have more knowledge and experience in business than you. And I always recommend that. So I go back and I said, okay, cool. I'll send these emails. Suddenly my inbox was just flooded. I would be picking up about 6-7 clients per day. I would have meetings scheduled in my calendar for the next few weeks just because I was sending those emails out. And I was doing it manually, by the way. Then I thought, how can I actually do it so I'd actually have more clients? Not so necessarily more clients. How can I send more emails? Because I can only do a certain amount of cold calls per day. How can I send more emails out? Yeah. So I figured out a method. I've automated it. Even now I'm improving the system and it works beautifully. It's literally like click the button and you've got, endless amount of clients. And that's what everyone wants. Yeah. And the clients probably prefer it. I would say, I remember I'd done a survey in my business. I think it was last year, Christmas. And I said, thanks for being a client, blah, blah, blah. How do you want me to communicate with you moving forward? 80%, it's like 81% or something said they want to be communicated via email. And I think that's where we sort of lose, what we think works well rather than putting our clients first and figuring it out. What does the market want? What do people want? You put a survey out on LinkedIn. Prove me wrong. You go on there, do a poll, do an email campaign, ask your friends and family. If you were wanting to buy something, would you do it via, would you want someone to call you up out of the blue? Would you want an email? Would you want a text? Would you want a WhatsApp? WhatsApp's a bit personal. Text is, no one really fucking reads texts. And, most people would want an email so they can see it. They've got some links they can find, your website, they can look your company up. Have you got any live jobs, etc. So I think cold emailing is way better. I know for a fact, actually, and, no one will be able to prove me wrong, but go ahead. The conversion rate of cold emailing in the recruitment sector, most sectors, I would say 95%, work better. Some sectors, cold calling works better. Now, there's a crux of it. I'll give you a quick example. Maybe construction, some parts of construction, yeah. The automotive sector, cold calling works better. Some agricultural recruitment, cold calling works better, yeah. Think of old school guys, labourers, bricklayers. Those guys want to be called up. They don't fucking check their emails and stuff like that. So I would say cold emailing is way better. It works for everybody. You don't need to be harassing people on the phone, disturbing them. Now, here's the argument for, let's play devil's advocate. Cold calling. My best clients in my business now are all from cold calling. Yeah. When I sat back and I said, who's my highest revenue accounts? They were all from cold calling. So is it the fact, I would go as far as to say, you can pick up high quality clients by cold calling, or you can pick up volume by cold emailing. That's my analysis at the moment. If you want to get it's enough to start your business just cold emailing. Yeah. The general steps are you cold email, they come back and say, how much are your fees? How much do you charge? Do you recruit for this position? We don't need help with this. We can recruit for that. They'll ask you the questions. Can we schedule a call? That's essentially a cold call in a way, but it's more of a warm call, I would say, actually. And then you start to discuss it on the phone. It always leads back to email anyway. They can say, okay, the conversation was great. Thanks for calling us. Thanks for emailing. We'd like to think about it. Can you send your terms of business? Either way, it always comes back to email. You cannot close a deal ever on the phone. You need terms signed, etc., stuff like that. So I hope this video has been helpful and give you an insight. I'd love to know everyone's thoughts. Yeah. I'd love anyone to say, look, bro, I cold call and I'm making £2 million a year. I'd love for someone to say that because I'd love to learn as well and see how exactly people do it. Take care.